We had a member of staff who was relaying the information to us. Of course, you get people from the crowd trying to give you false information. Fans are loud and you score, and they're on their feet and they're singing. It's an immense place. I think the tactical side of the game has really, really evolved, and to play at the highest level, you have to be really, really tactically adaptable.
This was not meant to happen. This could not happen. This is happening.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another special edition of The Coach's Son Parks the Bus. We are honoured and privileged today to have a very special guest. We've got Mark Jacko Jackson, as he goes by at Central Coast Mariners, treble-winning manager at the Central Coast Mariners, winning the AFC Cup, the A-League Premiership and the Championship, as well as winning the A-League Coach of the Year. Mark, welcome to The Coach's Son.
Yeah, great to be here. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, this is the special edition of The Coach's Son Parks the Bus. We do like to start off with, letting you have a couple of words to say about, your background in football, your where you got introduced to football, how you grew up, and what got you to the place where you are today.
Yeah, I started football really late, to be fair. I was 10 years old, and you look at players these days, they start when they're really, really young. So I started at a late age, and I only joined the team when I was 10. I did other sports before that, swimming, martial arts, stuff like that. And I was kind of running, my parents were running me here, there and everywhere throughout the week. And, it got to a point where they said, listen, what do you enjoy the most? And I kind of like the football side of it, so I really concentrated on that. So, yeah, I was a late starter as regards to what kids are normally doing these days. But, I was lucky enough to go straight into it as a 10-year-old and then progress fairly quickly through the kind of representative teams which were present at Leeds at that time, which were called like Leeds City Boys, the West Yorkshire squad, and then quickly got picked up by Leeds United as well, which was my hometown club. So, and then kind of stayed there from 11 years old all the way till I was 22 when I left Leeds.
Excellent, very nice. So obviously, grace to have you out here on the Australian shores. I mean, you've gone from the Cop End, which is now known as the Don Revie Stand at Elland Road, to the Master Foods sauce bottles at Central Coast Stadium. What sparked the move for you to come down to Australia?
Well, listen, first, both iconic stands.
Absolutely.
In different ways, the setting, but also, yeah. Listen, when I came over here, it came out of the blue a little bit, and I was out of work at the time, having left MK Dons. I had a friendship with Nick Montgomery, and I kept in touch with him, and he said, "Listen, there's an opportunity probably coming up for him to move over to Scotland, and he's probably going to take that. So why not put your CV in?" So I did. I sent my CV in to Matt Simon. I got a call back saying, "Listen, we'd like to interview you." I think on the interview panel was Rich Peel, the chairman and the owner, and Matt Simon, and one of the directors as well, Anton. So yeah, I had to quickly pull kind of a presentation together and gather my thoughts on the Central Coast and the squad and stuff like that. I went through the interview process, and it was a couple of days after that I got a call to say they'd like to offer me the job. So it all happened fairly quickly. And you're in England sometimes, and you might have to travel a few hours away and stuff like that. Yeah, but to jump on a plane and go the other side of the world is it's a bit of a big upheaval. But there was never one doubt in my mind, having spoke to Rich and Matt Simon, that this was the right place for me to go and to kind of establish my career again, having come off the back of losing my job at MK Dons. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to take up the challenge. Everything about the club kind of fit with my beliefs, giving opportunities to young players, developing the academy and kind of not just focusing on the first team, but developing the whole club as well. So it was a really intriguing offer and challenge. And, and we're still in the midst of that now, even with the success we had last year. It's still going to be a challenge because we always have the turnover of players, but, we're putting good things in place now, and hopefully we can continue to grow.
Did you have to, obviously you had to move your whole life over to Australia, 22 hours away. Did you hire your own private jet, or did the club organise that for you to bring all your stuff over?
Certainly not. No, certainly not. No, it's a heck of a flight. Yeah. I don't think I've ever lived a lifestyle of private jets or anything like that. I don't think I ever will. But that's just me.
Not
Even
yet.
even if I had the money, I don't think I would. I'm too tight. I'm a tight, Yorkshireman. Uh, but no, it was like I said, it come about really, really quickly. I actually jumped on a plane on my son's birthday, so it was. Although it was an exciting time, it was a pretty emotional time as well. We always knew that my family would join me, at some point, and they arrived on the 10th of January. But when the reality kicks in, once you're sitting on the tarmac by yourself, going, okay, what the heck am I doing here? And there was that element of sadness because I was leaving my family, and I knew I wouldn't see him for a while. But deep down there was that excitement as well because I knew what kind of project it was. I knew I had big shoes to fill from Monty and what he'd achieved there, which was fantastic. And I wanted to carry that on. I wanted to try and carry the work on he'd done over the years he'd been there, and he'd done some fantastic work. So, I felt a big responsibility to go across and continue that work. So, yeah, although there was sadness, there was a lot of excitement, in my stomach as well.
You mentioned also Leeds United. You spent many years there as a player and a coach, and of course you were born there as well. You didn't mention that you were a Leeds fan, though. Were you a Leeds fan growing up?
Yeah. I literally grew up about a mile away from Elland Road. That's where I grew up, in the early days, and I never got to watch games much. And could never go to watch games, for whatever reason, and. But I was always a Leeds fan. If you grow up in Leeds near Elland Road, you're not going to be anything else but a Leeds fan. Unfortunately, I've known some players around the area I've grown up as a kid, and they weren't a Leeds fan, and they get a bit of stick. So no, it was. I was born and bred in Leeds, and I followed Leeds all my life, and to come through the ranks there, like I said, from 11 years old and starting playing at 10, to stay there all the way through, kind of the schoolboy kind of stage, and then the YTS scheme, which it was back then, and then to make my debut for the first team was, it was special for me as a Leeds boy. Didn't make as many appearances as I would have liked to, but that was probably showed the level of player I was. But I'm very proud of the career I've had in the game, and very proud to make appearances for my hometown club, Leeds United.
Yeah, of course. And of course, he would have played with Harry Kewell, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, it came through. I think me and Harry kind of made our debuts around about the same time. He was a year younger than me. I can remember him coming over on trial. He came over with another Australian player, Brett Emerton. I can remember him coming across, and I don't think Brett didn't get signed, but he went on to have a fantastic career because I can remember him. And Harry signed, and I think he made his debut around about the same time as me, actually as a left back. Remember him playing left back to make his debut. I had a good friendship with Harry at the time, and like I said, he was a year younger, but got on really well. And although we're not in contact all the time now, I think the last job he was at, I know he's lost his job since then, but we sent each other a message, wishing each other luck and stuff like that. And he was a good player to play with. I don't know whether he's very welcome back in Leeds these days with moving to Galatasaray, but I think the last time I spoke to him, I think he acknowledged that as well. But when he was there, he was a fantastic player, and one of the young players who came through at Leeds and went on to have a fantastic career.
Yeah, Australian sporting legend in the football realms over here. Going back to yourself, I mean, you worked under Marcelo Bielsa as the under-23s coach at Leeds, and then with Jesse Marsch as part of the first team, one of the first team head coaches. I know in previous interviews you said that they are quite different, but were there things that you've taken or able to take from both those managers that obviously has helped you become the manager you are today?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what you have to do. I think probably in the stages of my career, I work with a lot of managers, and it's only when you kind of, you start getting into the coaching, you start getting to the coaching game, you start looking back at how these different managers worked with you, how they coached you, how they treat you as a person and a player as well, because that's really, really important part of management. But yeah, kind of, two managers there who I've worked with more recently. And listen, I've worked under some great managers at all different levels of the game, which I've taken things from. But a lot of the people always choose the kind of big names in, obviously, Marcelo, Bielsa and Jesse Marsch. So there's definitely things I've taken from both managers from a footballing point of view, and kind of a management point of view as well, because I think it's two different things. I think coaching is one thing, understanding the tactics around how you work with players, how you work with teams, and then the management side of it as well, in how you deal with the players and the person as well, which is really, really important these days. I think gone are the days where everybody kind of, you rule with that iron fist and one size fits all. I don't think it's the case these days. I think the man management side of any sport is massive, and I think you hear a lot of people talk about that, in different sports, elite level sports, where, understanding what type of players you have, how to approach them, how to deal with them on a daily basis, and how to get the best out of each and every individual within the team. And that's a real challenge. And, that's what I took from kind of the managers I've worked with over time. And, it's always what can you do, but also kind of what not to do as well, because you can take things, but there's probably things what either you don't agree with or might not just work for you in the environment you're in. So yeah, it's a really, really important thing to do as an up and coming coach or manager. And I think you never stop learning as well. I think that's the important side of thing. I don't think any manager you speak to will always be learning and developing themselves. And that kind of mindset, is really, really important for any manager at any level.
Yeah, I know, Adam. I know. I'm just going to jump in now. I know you got the next question, but kind of leads perfectly to one of the questions that I was going to ask as well about obviously adapting and changing as time goes on. We hear a lot about other coaches, mentioning about how the game used to be as a coach or manager and how it is today. Is it that man management piece that's probably the biggest difference from back when you were playing to what it is now, or is other elements as well?
No, I think the tactical side of the game now with formations and adaptability within formations is really at a high level. And I think you look at the foreign coaches who have come into particularly the Premier League and the English game. I think there's a real thirst to learn now and be adaptable. And you're seeing loads of different formations come up, and you're seeing teams now change within games and changing at different formations. So I think the tactical side of the game has really, really evolved. And, to play at the highest level, you have to be really, really tactically adaptable. I think the technical side of the game is what it is. Top players are top players, simple as that. But I think that tactical adaptability is really, really important, and how you can learn from that and how you can set up your team to be flexible with how they play as well is really, really important. But, just as important, I think that, like I said before, that man management side of it is really, really apparent in the game, because, even when I came through, it was kind of, you do it this way and that's it. I don't think you can have that approach with players these days, particularly young players as well. So I think how you recognise what they need, a big factor for me and the staff I work with as well is, seeing these are footballers at the end of the day, but we don't see that. We see it as a person. You've got to, if you're working with people, you've got to see them as a person first. And, if you can connect with that person, then you can help them get better on the football field. That's our philosophy and how we want to work with our players. And, it's worked well for us so far.
So Stephen and James have been lucky enough to actually attend a Premier League fixture. Unfortunately, I haven't been lucky enough to attend one, Mark, but I'd really just love to know, what's it like to be a coach or just be part of the coaching staff at a Premier League fixture? Is it the attendance? Is it the thrill? I'd love to know.
Yeah, I mean, when I stepped up with Jesse when he came in at a really, really tough time. Leeds were kind of at the bottom end of the Premier League and had a real task to try and stay up in the Premier League. And, we came in and kind of steadied the ship from where it was. They had a fantastic time under Marcelo Bielsa and great success. But, changes happen in football. We all know that. And Jesse came in at a really tough time and had to adapt quickly, had to adapt the players quickly. And for me, stepping up in that as a coach in that first team environment was a really good progression for me because, being privy to that kind of pressure and that pressure to stay in the Premier League is immense. It's immense. Not only, for the status of any club, but the financial implications if a team goes down can be massive. So yeah, working in that environment was highly pressurized. But no, I mean, the atmospheres were fantastic, and there's a few from the season I was up with Jesse working with him. There's a few games we played at Elland Road. I think it was Norwich where we scored a last minute winner, Brighton where we scored an equaliser, and I mean, anybody would say that about their club, but Elland Road is a special place once them fans are loud and you score and they're on the feet and they're singing. It's an immense place. So to have those kind of moments in that season, kind of with under that pressure, was a real learning curve for me and really, really enjoyable. And then going to the last game of the season at Brentford away, where we had to better Burnley's result to stay up. So being in the pressure environment of listening to what was happening at Burnley, they were playing Newcastle, I think, and hearing they'd scored, and then we had a goal disallowed, and then we scored right at the end. So, those emotions and managing those emotions and staying clear in your mind throughout the 90 minutes, taught me a lot. And Jesse was really good at that. His man management and his calmness to think under pressure was excellent. And, we managed to be successful and stay in the Premier League that year. So, that was a really exceptional learning curve for me as a coach, as a person as well, to deal with those pressure situations.
I can imagine that it's trying to block out everyone in the stadium itself, block out the scenario itself, and try and focus on the 90 minutes of the game and everything that you've sort of taken in general probably is the hardest part about it.
Yeah, that's all you can do, and preparation is key. I think if you prepare yourself and you prepare the players as best you can, and you try and look at every scenario within a game and what can happen here and there, and you do your work on the opposition, and you kind of true to how you want to play as a team. Then once the players cross a white line, it's kind of staying calm with it and adapting quickly. Like I said, adapting to situations quickly, because like I said, the tactical side of the game now is massive, and it's not just playing against a team who do this. You might be playing against a team who do something in one phase of the game, and then they might change in another phase of the game. So it's kind of reading that, preempting that, knowing that might happen. And if this does happen, ensuring that the players know what to do on that occasion. So preparation is key. And, if the better you are prepared, the more calm you can be on the sideline. But you always have to adapt quickly.
Yeah.
I want to know, I've got a quick question. You mentioned obviously you had one eye, one ear on the Burnley game. I know obviously it's a lot easier now with technology, knowing what's going on at the other grounds, but do you have someone in your backroom staff just on live scores refreshing their phone every 2 minutes, or is there someone actually listening on the radio to the other game?
Yeah, I can remember. Listen, and that was a point of conversation in the lead up to the game, that you have to know what's going on. You have to know what's going on, because that might dictate how you approach certain elements of the game, what substitutions you might have to make. You might have to change the game. You might have to shore the game up. So it's important that you know. So yeah, we had a member of staff who was relaying the information to us. Of course, you get people from the crowd trying to give you false information and stuff like that. And I can remember that was happening during the Brentford game. And but again, it's having that clear plan. And we had somebody responsible for relaying that information to us, which obviously then we had certain set scenarios in place to react to that. But luckily for us, it all went well on the day.
Yeah, because I just touching on that, James. I actually remember in I think a couple of years back when it was City and Liverpool head to head, and actually the players were asking the fans what the score was in the current game, because they were actually trying to run back and forth with it to see what was happening. That's funny you say that.
Salah scored to equalise, and he's pretty much
Yeah,
asking
yeah.
the crowd what the score in the other game.
Score was.
You would hate if
Yeah.
the background staff, obviously at Leeds United or anywhere, they're watching the game, but they're more worried about their fantasy, especially if they're up the top, rather than what's going on, rather than staying up. Obviously, you mentioned the amazing crowd at Elland Road, now the iconic sauce bottles at Central Coast there. I want to know what's your favourite away ground? And another question, where have you copped the most abuse?
Abuse. Right, okay. Yeah.
As a player and coach.
As a player and coach, yeah. I don't think I've had that much abuse, to be fair. Like you say, you try and block it out. I mean,
You're a
for
likeable
me,
bloke.
for me, as a player, when I was coming through, I had the opportunity to play at Old Trafford, and with the rivalry with Leeds and Man United, that was a special occasion for me. Listen, Man United's still a great stadium, of course it is, but listen, there's bigger stadiums out there now. When these big stadiums come out, you look at Tottenham. I had the privilege to be on the coaching staff when we played Tottenham away, and that stadium is phenomenal to play in. And these arenas, what these players get to play in these days, are great. As regards to copping the most slack, nothing stands out for me, to be honest with you. No, I've had little bits of stuff here and
Nothing yet.
yeah, I'm probably open to it. It'll probably come, no problem. But this probably doesn't answer the question, because you asked for an away ground. But there was nothing better. The best game I've been involved in my coaching career was the grand final last year. That was the best. The atmosphere, and that was
Wow.
Central Coast Stadium, hosting the grand final, getting a record crowd there. Everything about the game made that the best game for me as a coach. It was phenomenal. The atmosphere. You still look at it now, and you look at the goals going in. It's goosebumps, and it's one of them. It was one of them really surreal situations that, listen, we were up against it, and Melbourne Victory, they were really strong on the night and played ever so well. But there was just a deep down feeling inside myself, and I said it after the game, that we were going to score. Even at that late thing. I know it's easy to say after the game. I said that all the time, but I had a real belief that we were going to score. And once we scored, I was really calm. I was really calm when we scored the equaliser, because I knew that was it for us. Once we got that goal, that momentum would shift, and we would win the game. So I was really calm with it. So that as a night for me as a coach manager, it was it's the best night of my career.
Wow.
That was an unreal game. I remember watching it and thinking, I hope people that support other sports in Australia, because as you obviously know, you got your AFL, the football's got to contend with, your rugby league, your rugby union, your cricket. And I was just thinking, I hope people that support and watch those kind of sports are watching this theatre, like this unreal fixture. Just shows that just edge of the seat stuff, especially in the grand final, and the passion and that it brings. I thought it was fantastic. I was just hoping that people were watching that going, there's something in this A-League, and there's something in it for me that I can follow and watch football rather than another sport here.
I think that for me was massive, and that was credit to both teams. It was credit to the club for really, really fighting and pushing, and the people behind the scenes at the Central Coast in the office really, really pushed for us to get the game. Adam Thompson really, really pushed, and put Alassar, Neary put plans in place and proposals in place for us to be able to get that game, and really sold the evening to the league. And courage, credit to them for having the courage to go with that and go and allow us to have it there and host it. And like I said, the event in itself was fantastic. Like I said, we had a record crowd, because I think they put the extra seats in behind where the palm trees are. We had extra seats in there. And to realise you had so many thousand fans outside the stadium as well, watching it on the big screen, was phenomenal. And like I said, I think it was a great event. for Australian football. And, that was credit to both teams, to Melbourne Victory and their supporters as well. Their supporters, because they made for a great night. But listen, it was great. It was a great spectacle. And, for us to be part of that and come through victorious, like I said, it was a special night for myself.
I wanted to ask, obviously, regarding the grand finals and the final series, because as you all know, obviously in Europe and other countries where the league is first past the post, you come first, and that determines the winner, obviously outside your cup competitions. How did you manipulate or work the final series? Like, do you treat it as a second competition? Like, we've come first, this competition's finished now. Now we've got this second competition, which is like a cup competition, or what's the mentality like for yourself going into a final series?
Yeah, it was new for me because, like I said, you win the league in England, and that's like the pinnacle. You win the league, and that's it. And you don't really have the final series. All I can liken the final series to is kind of the playoffs in the Championship and League One and League Two, and even going down into the non-league. Is the teams underneath, they normally play off in to get promoted to the next league. That's it. But it was a real new thing for myself and the staff as well, particularly Danny, who came over with me. But no, I think we got on. We had that momentum going with us, and we, once we had the mentality, once the opportunity or the realization that for us to achieve the treble was on. Once that was a possibility, because everybody you go into a season, you say, listen, we want to go for everything. And every team will have that mindset. Of course they will. They want to win. But when it become a real possibility, we took a different approach to it. And, some teams might take an approach where they say, well, listen, we don't want to talk about it. We just want to get on with our football. We don't want to talk about the what ifs. We'll let it take care of itself. But we approached it in a way where we said, listen, this is a real opportunity for us here. And as a group, internally, not externally, but internally, we spoke about it. We said, this is a chance for us to win the treble. We had the mindset of not whispering it. We said it openly within our team meetings. This is what we want to do, and this is why we want to do it. And more importantly, this is how we can do it. So we knew we had to navigate a lot of fixtures. We knew we had to navigate a lot of travel, particularly being in the AFC Cup. So what we did, and the staff were fantastic around this. We had a plan. We knew how to deal with the physicality and the logistics of doing what we did. But like anything, you talk about football players when they're playing at this level are all at a certain level from a technical point of view and a tactical point of view, so to say. But the mentality of a player's mind and a group's mind is probably what gets you over the line. And the team had a really, really strong mentality, and the staff did as well. And we, I think that helps us create that momentum and that belief that we can go right to the end of games as well. Like you saw in the grand final, we can go right to the end. If we need to dig in because we're not playing so well, and that's it, we dig in, and we have to do that because you can't play well every game. We know that. But we really, really, had that mentality to be open about what we want to achieve and how we were going to get it. So, that brought the group together massively.
Mark, not just in Australian football, but European football now, you're starting to see young talent come through. So players are starting to introduce into the first team from the academies. How are you guiding these young superstars sort of coming into the teams now with the pressure of everything? Like a perfect example is Miguel De Pizio that's in your team currently at the moment. So how do you guide them? Because, obviously they are very young and they're on this major platform now.
Yeah, they're nowhere near being superstars yet. But, what we say, they're young players with potential. So we always talk about taking the ceiling away. And that's from young players and older players as well. So, we want players to have big ambition, and that's an important thing at our football club, that we want players. We know that, players not going to spend the whole careers at our football club. We know that if we want the best young players, these young players want to have ambition to go and play in Europe and overseas because the competitions are bigger and the rewards are bigger as well. And we accept that as a club. So I think straight away that that shows the young players that, you know, we have the confidence to give them the opportunity. And I think that's a big thing. You know, when us as coaches, myself, Danny, and the rest of the staff, you know, we always speak about giving opportunity to young players, but also players who've probably, you know, fallen off their careers a little bit. And you've seen that in the past at this football club. But myself and Danny, who came across, we've worked a lot with young players. So that's kind of, I go back to the attraction of the Central Coast. It wasn't just because I was out of work and I wanted to get my first job as quickly as possible. It was, you know, after speaking to Rich and Matt Simon, like I said, the project and what they wanted us to do in working with young players really appealed to us. But with that comes, you know, courage from coaches and managers to play these young players, and you know that's what we're going to continue to do here. Miguel De Pizio is just one of a number of young players here who have huge potential. You know, hopefully we can be part of their journey to give them a platform to go on later in their careers to be that kind of superstar. What you said, you know, we want them to get there. They certainly don't have that mentality now, and you know we've got a group of really, really humble players, not just young players, but even the senior players, really, really humble, and they want to work hard and they want to be the best they can be. So we try and create an environment where we take the ceiling away and they can be whoever they want to be as regards to potential, and we want to enhance that and support them along their way. So yeah, giving the platform for players is really, really important for this football club.
Yeah, I just want to say you've, as we know, you've worked with a lot of young players in your previous roles at other clubs. How does it make you feel when you see someone that you've worked with so closely progress to, you know, the first team? You'd almost feel like a proud father.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. You know, it's particularly coming through at Leeds. You know, we had a lot of success with young players. And listen, don't get me wrong, I was really, really privileged to work with a talented group of players there. You know, some of them players are now playing in Europe. You know, Charlie Creswell's playing at Toulouse, Max Dean's playing at Ghent, Archie Gray has moved to Spurs. You know, Sam Greenwood, Crescencio Somerville's just gone to West Ham. You know, but these are talented players as well. So, you know, me working with them has not got them there. I've been part of a group of multidisciplinary staff who all contribute to a player's development, but ultimately it boils down to the player. If you've got talent and you want to make it, you have to be all in with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from a quick interval, a quick break. Thanks to a special word from our sponsors. Last time we caught up with Mark. We was in the midst of a pre-season training, getting the boys ready for the upcoming season. Mark, thanks for coming back on. How's the pre-season camp and how's the lead up for the new season going?
Yeah, the camp was really good. It was just what we needed at that particular time. And, you know, sometimes, particularly in Australia, I think I mentioned before about it being the pre-season being so long. So for us to get away from the training ground for 5 days was fantastic. And it gave us a chance to embed some of the young boys in how we work and, you know, just to spend time kind of in each other's pockets for 5 days. And we managed to get Ezio, our mindset coach, up there as well. So we did a bit of team bonding and a bit of team work around our culture and what we do, because that's really, really important for us. And kind of finished off with a session on the lake in the canoes, which was quite fun for the lads. So that was good. That was good.
Who was the standout raw?
I think it all started really well, and it was about teamwork, dark water, blindfolded, and stuff like that. But I think I knew how it was going to end up, and all the canoes tipped over, all the players in the water. So but it was good fun. It was good fun, and we got a lot out of it. So it was really good.
Nice. Well, touching on team bonding just then again, Mark. So the boys and I, our illustrious football careers sort of come to an end. So we've decided to jump onto Sunday League football now a little bit. And the boys in our team, we've sort of incorporated a little bit of a fine system just as a bit of a joke, you know, bad celebration, you know, bad attempt at goal or anything like that. Do you and the boys have anything similar to that And is there any like a specific story, in your career so far where something might stick out with a specific fine? You don't obviously have to mention any names at all.
Not for me in particular. Getting fined, I was always good. I was usually in charge of the fines, so I used to control them. So, but funny, kind of funny you should say that. But it's kind of a process we've been, incorporating new players into the team. We look at the players do have a fine system, but I wanted to have a look at that and see what was on it, just to have a look at it and tweak it a little bit. And there was some stuff on there which I didn't agree with, and some stuff I found quite funny, which was good. So, but listen, that has to be led by the players. So we're kind of in the midst of that, and probably the funniest story we've got at our place now. The boys have created they've got a wheel what the spin. So if you do have the fines, if you do have a fine and you want to take it to the wheel, some of them things on the wheel where it could get you off scot-free, or it could double and stuff like that. So certain things on it which is very good. It makes me laugh, and I know the boys had an interesting spin probably last week where someone tried to go for it, and it caught them out a little bit, so they had to pay a little bit of money. But the good thing for me is that, listen, it's for a good cause for them. The fines are good because it keeps everybody on the toes. It holds people accountable and stuff like that. It doesn't go away from kind of the behaviours what we want to create all the time, but it creates that little bit of team spirit. You got all the boys in the dressing room, and listen, I don't go in there myself, but you could hear from behind the closed door what was going on in there. So someone got hit fairly heavily on that.
Brutal. Even before the season started. That's rough. That's rough.
The thing I loved on it as well, I loved on the wheel because I've seen the wheel, and it's one of them where you can get away with a fine, but you have to wear a suit to training for 2 days, which I thought was brilliant. So no one's been in a suit just yet, but wait for that suit to come out.
We used to have a jury, so if someone got fined, I think it was the second session we went, being obviously Sunday, we obviously train twice a week, and on the second night we had a jury of 4 of the senior boys, and if you got fined on the weekend, if you wanted to contest it, you can contest your fine and try and get let off. You had to convince the four panel jury to get off. And if you couldn't,
that's never going to happen in my aim. That would never happen. I've been part of that in my YTS days at Leeds United, and I was part of the jury there. The court tape, we used to call it.
Yeah.
If anybody took it to court, we'd go, take it to court. I encourage you to do that. Nobody ever won in court.
It was the same. No way. If you got to fight it and you still lose, you got to pay double. And the boys are thinking, well, that's just extra money in the kitty. So just every single time, you lost. So too bad.
Yeah. So no, that you never win those things in my experience. So
no, that's great.
Bird off to stay away from them. Very good. Well, it's come to that time of the episode. The all important big question. So you've been thinking about it for a while now, probably for a few weeks. The coach's son nomination. So for everyone listening, obviously coach's son is probably someone that is a bit of a teacher's pet. Maybe likes to play around a bit, much in the change rooms or on the park, whatever it is. So, Mark, who's your coach's son nomination?
Well, it has to be for me. It's probably someone towards the back end of my career who I played with. It's kind of the equivalent of what you call MPL over here. I kind of finished my career at that level and continued playing a bit and started my coaching path in there. And there was a player in particular called Tom Morgan, goalkeeper in there, and he was I wouldn't say he was a teacher's pet, but it was he was the most annoying character ever, but with that the most lovable guy as well, as regards to being a mate and stuff like that and stuff like that. So I had the pleasure of being a teammate of his and playing in front of him. He was a goalkeeper, also being kind of assistant manager and on the staff when he was part of it as well. And he was just one of those characters who he would be very annoying sometimes, but you couldn't help but just laugh along with him because he just had that way about him. Crazy goalkeeper, we used to call him. And some of the stories I probably couldn't share on here, but some of the stories he used to get up to, and even on the pitch as well and stuff like that. But he's one who would say he goes down as a good memory for me, for someone who's real character of the game, and he's still at the club where we go now. He's a goalkeeper coach there, so he's still probably doing the same things as he was. Still as mental as ever. I don't think having kids has calmed him down one bit. I saw him on Instagram the other day. Or he must have sent a message where he sneaked up on one of his best mates who's a physio, Gary Liversidge, and he snuck in his house. He must have had a key for his house, and he controlled himself, sneaking in his house, crept right up to him behind the TV and just shouts in his ear. And it's like these crazy things, what he does all the time. So,
that's hilarious.
And that just probably showed me he's not changed one bit. But he's a great character, but really good friend as well.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, there you go. We're going to have to reach out to Tom to make sure he gets a chance to respond, a chance to reply.
Defend himself.
He never did it to me, but he seems to pick on certain people where he'll annoy him to death. So,
nice.
Good character.
There you go. Tommy being nominated for the coaches. There you go.
I'll send me the link for this, and I'll send it on to him.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% we will.
He'll be buzzing with that. He'll be buzzing. So.
Love it. Well, Mark, thanks again for your time. It's part 2 of the episode, but we appreciate you again coming back on, and we wish you the very best for the season that's coming forth. Myself and the boys are going to have to head down there and catch a game as well. So, thanks again for everything.
Well, listen, let me know when you're coming down, and we'll look after you when you come down here. We'll look after you on the coast down here. So please let me know when you're coming down.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Mark. Thanks again.
Thanks, Mark.
Chat, guys. Thank you.
Everyone, like and subscribe, and we'll be back again next week. Thanks again.
This was not meant to happen. This could not